Okay, 4-color Enigmatic Incarnation. At the beginning of your end step, you can sacrifice another enchantment. If you do, you get a creature with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed enchantment's mana value onto the battlefield. So, this turns enchantments into creatures, which tends to notably work very well with enchantment creatures themselves. We got a little bit of a toolbox here, being able to fish up things like Rallier and Linvala and Skyclave and Spellbinder. Got a few different things, and the 4 and 5 slot as well to get in different situations. At the core, this is just a value mid-range deck that's looking to get points by blinking with Yorion. So we've got things like Trial and Omen of the Sea and Oath of Kaya and Binding that all not only work well with Yorion, but also sacrifice to Enigmatic Incarnation for value down the line. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how it goes. It's for the 19 months, Thorbin. Need some more lands, but has all of our colors, so send me up. The interesting historic decks that use Storm the Festival. Now, Storm the Festival is a card that is likely too slow and fair for historic. If you're casting a 6-mana spell in historic, it should probably be winning you the game, not just generating some value. There is something fishy going on the ladder today. It's seeing play in Modern. Call. Link me a recent Modern tournament where that card posted results. Please and thank you. You saw some random streamer playing it and maybe 5-0 with it. Doesn't mean it's good in Modern. Come on now, chat. I mean, you ain't new here. Depth Land Tier's great. Did the servers just die? Everybody in chat saying they got disconnected too? This is what happens when you don't feed the hamsters, chat. Psych! Thanks for the follow. It's fine, chat. I'll just head on over to the handy-dandy Magic Arena status page. Ooh, we technically are still in maintenance mode. That's fair. Technically still under maintenance. Let's restart it and see if, see what happens. Didn't auto-log me in? Hold on. The servers just got memory lapsed. Yeah, looks like it. That's sad. Our start there was really good. Oh, good stuff. I wonder if they missed their turn. Today, I'm wearing the Wind Grace Forever shirt from Colossus Apparel. You can check out their link in chat. They make good stuff with a lot of excellent designs, very talented artists that work with them. All right. Firmly into garbage time here. Pass back the turn to make it fair? No. That's not how this works. We want the protection from blue card and the portable holes. Spellbinder seems not great here. Scarab God, probably not amazing. Fair is a place where pink pigs win blue ribbons, chat, not Jeff's stream. That's a good one. I'm going to remember that line. So, just to dunk on Idiot Centrist for a second, because I'm going to close my Twitter timeline so I stop getting distracted. I opened it when the servers crashed. Apparently, Andrew Yang tweeted that if there was a forward party car, it wouldn't turn left or right. It would just go straight ahead. Which the appropriate response to that is, oh, so your political party's car would be fucking useless, just like your political party. Good to know. Thanks for the 10 months. Welcome back. They don't have a counterspell here. Right on time 2-drop. Welcome to the party. I assume they're going to have counters post-board. Our draw's a little clunky. They just like have a flash merfolk. That's much better for us. Okay. We just put down a thick boy here. Yeah, exactly, Steven. Yeah, he gets just like Resto and Prey. Well, if I play Yarok, I'm dead to Brazen Bar or in the air chat. I'm aware Ceratops could get reach, but that requires paying a mana, which I wouldn't have been able to do if I cast a 5-mana spell. The easiest and most concise way I can summarize US politics, all's games, in a soundbite is there's an entire political party in the United States that basically runs on the platform of the government can't do anything right and is dysfunctional. And then when that party's elected to government, they ensure that the government is dysfunctional and can't do anything right to the best of their ability. It's basically the TLDR. This hand has all of our colors of mana, but it really doesn't do anything particularly quickly, so I think this is a mulligan. Yeah, this is much better. Just a bunch of removal spells in all of our colors. I mean, that's not strictly true, AJ. Especially if you look at what the Democrats have accomplished at the state level. Like, the federal government in the United States is functionally gridlocked by the core design of it at this point, is what it comes down to. Like, the way the filibuster works and everything else, and the way the Senate is, like, inherently anti-democratic at its core. Like, there's some people with D's next to their name, like Manchin and Sima, who are, like, total assholes, and, like, would be great if they could get out of the way and have people that wanted to get stuff done in their spots, but, like, you know, it's structurally very difficult to make stuff happen there. State level, they can't fuck you, man. It's just like they could get rid of it right now. They can't. They're not a monolith. Like, the idea that, like, Joe Manchin is the same as someone like Bernie Sanders is such nonsensical bullshit. And to pretend like Joe Biden just gets to snap his fingers and make Joe Manchin make a decision, it's just not how reality works. It shows fundamental ignorance of the messed up system that exists. Like, yeah, Joe Manchin sucks. It does, right? And he has a D next to his name, I guess. But, like, to pretend that he's the same as most of their people that have D's next to their name is just, like, ignorant of reality. I shocked there to play around another Spell Pierce, because I think our life total is high enough that we can afford to do that. Like, there's so many things that like Biden and co and other Democrats that have legitimately done that are bad, that, like, focusing on things that, like, saying, oh, this could happen but it doesn't, that's just, like, not true, is just, like, such a waste of breath and not welcome here. Focus on legitimate criticisms. Don't make up stuff. There's plenty of so many legitimate things to complain about. It's just not true. I'm so tired. The both sides bullshit just is never welcome in my spaces. They suck too. Look at the governor of Illinois. Look at a lot of the state level Democrats where they're actually able to pass legislation. Illinois is working towards moving towards greener vehicles. They legalized marijuana. They've passed $15 minimum wage. They expunged non-violent criminal records for people that were put into jail on marijuana charges. They've done so much right. The core problem with the system is that, like, people can see the obstruction that happens in Washington, and instead of being upset with the people that are obstructing, they say the Democrats haven't done enough, even though they're not the ones doing the obstruction. It's such complete and utter nonsense. I'm a big fan of leveraging criticism where criticism is due. I am not a fan of leveraging criticism in places where it's not due. Don't do it. Ha! I could technically Glasspool the Yorion here. That's probably worse than just... Oh, I could Renegade Rallier, right? Let's Renegade Rallier back the Edict. Let's do that. No, I think this is better. And then next turn we can copy Yorion, blink a bunch of stuff. I don't know. This game's in garbage time. We could probably close our eyes and click buttons at random and be okay. Thanks for the follow, Sedum. And honestly, I think we just like run back the same line, right? Incarnation is gas when it gets going. Yeah, progressives are frequently their own worst enemy, though, Jareth. Just like super cynical and refusing to look at the bigger picture and stuff like that. Perfect being the enemy of good quite frequently. It's for the year and a half, G-dubs. Yeah, it's just not my job, Braveheart Lion, to try and save people who are causing a fundamental erosion of democracy in the country through their voluntary actions. Like, you're right, you could deprogram people who are effectively in a cult, but it's a lot of work and it's not my job. Thanks for the 24 months, Mr. Mark the Shark. Alright, first Jeskai opponent of the day, chat. See a Quench here, wouldn't be surprised if those just subbed in over Memory Lapse. I bet the Jeskai matchup's hard for our deck still. You can see us drawing all of these Trial of Ambitions and Bindings cards that just don't have text boxes here. I mean, I'm sure best of one just like kind of goes back to what it was before, which is a mix of like elves and linear graveyard decks as opposed to Tibalt's Trickery. So Resto blinks the Yorion, and then Yorion's gonna blink this Resto again, so this way if they have Wrath of God, they can't kill both of my things. Take 2 removal spells there. I'm excited for this 4/4 Shark Typhoon to eat my Restoration Angel. It's a third card that basically doesn't have a text box here. Yikes. You're right. We can edict their divination. That's definitely a winning line. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and move to the post-board game here. So, we get to cut a bunch of bad cards and bring in a bunch of cards that have text boxes, which is certain to make our deck a little bit better here. Just get rid of all these things that are removal spells that effectively don't do anything in this matchup. Bring in some counter spells and some extra threats. We have a copy of Yorion in the main deck. You can type !deck in chat to get a link to the deck list. It also should be available on your screen via the on-screen overlay. Okay. This is an excellent start here. We'll get to go Sythis into 2-mana enchantment, draw a card, which would be great. I'd be surprised if Static Discharge is a playable card. It's really pretty weak, all things considered. Being a sorcery is a real drag. I think Azuria's Tempo is probably the more competitive of those two decks, Ludric. I think Cleric struggles against the dedicated Epiphany decks. It's fine against blue-red dragons, but like the dedicated Epiphany combos with the copy your spells one give Clerics a hard time. Man, Silas feels really good here. Should we be playing 4 of this card? Feel like there's a chance we should be playing 4 of this card. Well, we were really hoping for Wrath of God there. Getting angered is like kind of a worst case scenario because it also exiled Timeless Witness, so we can't eternalize it. I say this not to damper your enthusiasm for Historic, but just to give you a realistic picture. I would be very surprised if Jeskai Control is not one of the best decks in this format still. Which is one of the reasons why I've advocated for a Memory Lapse ban for so long, is because we can take one of their best tools away, and their deck is still powerful enough to be one of the best things in the format. Yes, I think it will likely just be eternally one of the best decks. Which is fine. Like, there's ways to attack this deck. Getting rid of its generic answer in Memory Lapse was a worthwhile thing to do. Glass half full didn't get Mystic Disputed. Hey, thanks for the half a year, Preacher. Welcome back. I think I want a binding here in case they have a follow-up Tefri. This is definitely a cycle. Yeah, they still have Archmage's Charm as well, which is easily the best card on a Jumpstart, I think. Honestly, not even just Jumpstart, but like Gear Hulk. Wait, didn't they have a Magma Opus? That had to have been a misclick, right? Sure, we take those, I guess. I almost feel like I should just concede because like we're like 0% to win this if they click on the right card there. We're the real loser because now we have to play game 3. we are getting close to Mythic. I'm gonna take game 3 because we're getting close to Mythic. Just for the follow JP main. What happened to Crokies? Crokies tweeted yesterday that he was taking a week or so off from streaming to spend some extra time with his newborn. He'll be back, chap. I mean, to be fair, as a streamer, he's taking unpaid maternity leave, which is good for him. No, not another kid, just the new one, Gengar. Honestly, taking a bunch of time off right when they're newborn is like, unless your partner really needs help, like they're having a rough recovery, it's kind of a spew, I feel like. They really don't do anything until, like, they're able to crawl and stuff. Kids get a lot more fun as they get older, as they can, like, actually do things. Like, Haley's, like, 17 months now, and she's, like, just starting to, like, understand, like, simple games and stuff, and, like, communicate, which is a lot more fun. I think I'll take Sythis here. Probably draw another enchantment. They're just kind of like blobs, right? They don't really do anything. All right, we get to take the Magma Opus here. Fuck, they already have Magma Opus in their graveyard. Chat, I've made a terrible mistake. I've made a terrible mistake, chat. We were talking about Crokies and children, and then, yeah, yikes. Is this where we concede? Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's playable and historic because you get to play it on turn 5 with Torrential Gear Hulk and get a 5/6 along with it. Alright, I have to Restoration Angel during their upkeep here, so this way we don't get Gear Hulked Opus this turn. This will get the Archmage's Charm on this or a removal spell on this. And then next turn, we can Glasspool Mimic the Elite Spellbinder if they don't have a removal spell to keep the Torrential Gear Hulk out a couple of turns. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Scout. All right, and now I'm not playing this out because I don't just want to play another thing out into the Opus flashback. Okay, so we can Sythis into Binding, kill the Gear Hulk, gain a life, draw a card. I've got double blue, double white, double green, double black, so it doesn't really matter what I get here.
Hurry.
I don't think they're likely to counterspell a Sanctum Weaver. And some of these decks have been playing Quench and Spell Pierce and Mystic Dispute, so I think I actually want to lead on Binding. So that way I can beat Mystic Dispute by paying mana. I mean, if they can't kill Harvest Hand...
We need to move quickly.
I mean... They still have the best card selection in the format, right, chat? Like, I know games like this, it feels like you're getting unlucky... But it's important to remember, it's not that they're getting lucky, it's that their deck just sees way more cards than your deck does, right? Like, they have Expressive Iteration, and Teferi, and Magma Opus. Their average card quality is just much better than what other decks are doing in the format. They still pretty much have all of the best cards in the format. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They largely get to pick the cards they want to draw, and you're just stuck with whatever the top of your deck serves up. Yeah, and even shifting Ceratops isn't really good enough in this matchup anymore, because they've adapted to play Unholy Heat. So, if we queue into Jeskai, that is the first time we've queued into Jeskai today. It hasn't been super popular so far, so hopefully its popularity goes down a little bit more, but this deck at least, there are definitely decks in this format that are competitive against Jeskai. This deck is not one of them. So, we're going to continue playing this, but we're going to concede the non-creature matchups for the rest of the set. So, Gruul decks, Tribal decks, White aggro, those are the types of things we're looking to play against here. Naked Thalia's Lieutenant on 3. That bodes well for our hero, chat. Yeah, I mean, that's a great summary of why the Jeskai deck is so powerful in general, right? Like, it's a deck that explicitly doesn't really play to the board. And decks in Magic that don't play to the board are notoriously difficult to interact with. Can't attack or block unless you control 3 other creatures. Sure. I think I want to do this and just get 2 restos. It gives them an extra 2/2, but I think I'm fine with that. I'd rather have another 3/4 flyer than something on the ground. Working our way towards garbage time rapidly here, especially with the Yorion looming to blink our board. Opponent agrees. I don't have that many cards for the creature matchup in our sideboard. As like I mentioned, it's pretty good to begin with. Scarab God is not really grind that we need. Timeless, probably similar. I don't need 2 of these. There's been a lot more tribal and creature decks on the ladder, which is a pleasant change of pace. We did play against Jeskai, and Jeskai still seems as powerful as ever, but it's been less popular, which is all you could really ask for. I'd imagine we're still pretty far off of a decided upon this is the best thing to replace Lapse inside of Jeskai. But people look to be trying different things like Quench and Spell Pierce and all sorts of different things. It'll take a little while to optimize, I'd wager. Our draw is definitely quite slow here when we were going second. Being on the play is very good. Yeah, Shamans is great. I think linear tribal aggro is still a good choice in this format. In fact, if you expect things like Jeskai control to be on the downtick a little bit and people to be playing more mid-rangey decks, linear tribal aggro is excellent. Tends to roll down mid-range. Yeah, Ocean's great. We're on the play. We have all our colors of mana. We've got some removal spells. We have card selection. I mean, the power level of Jeskai is going to decrease without memory lapse. The point is that the power level of Jeskai was such a large cut above everything else you could be doing in this format that even bringing that power level down doesn't mean it's likely not the best thing anymore. Oh, opponent's about to learn a valuable lesson. Yeah, that was probably a misclick, if I had to guess. Yes, correct, which is exactly why the memory lapse ban was very correct, because you can just pull the power level down of the best deck without removing it as something playable. They probably thought they were clicking to sacrifice it to the trial, and they just didn't realize where we were at. Yeah, if you don't have the right settings, single clicking on Bodyguard just sacrifices it, which I'd always recommend having the extra prompt for Bodyguard. Urquan, thanks for the 10 months. Welcome back. Well, nice. Nailed it. Never didn't have it. All right, so this is black and white, so I need another black or white for this. All of our lands are very tapped at the moment, chap. Andre Salem, thank you for the entire year. Welcome back. Okay, nice. Bad die roll to lose, but our hand is somewhat reasonable here. No extra land from them is good. I do have to shock to do this, which mitigates some of the upside of Othakaya. Honestly, the best way to describe why Memory Lapse is such a good ban is, and this is a little bit of an extreme comparison, but I think it's apt. Memory Lapse has a lot of similarities to Wasteland in that it's just a generically powerful card that also sometimes randomly won you the game on turn 2. Like, sometimes you'd Wasteland your opponent on turn 2 and they wouldn't have another land and the game would be over on the spot. And the same thing with Memory Lapse. Sometimes you're on the play and you Memory Lapse your opponent's turn 2 play, and then they just don't have a third land drop, and the game effectively ends because they never get a chance to recover from the tempo loss. It's a card that greatly increased the frustrating aspect of Magic's variants. Alright, I think their stumbling is going to allow us to stabilize nicely here. Howdy, Fedmart. Defense. Defense. Witness, cut Scarab God, cut... We cut Spellbinders, actually, instead of Linvala. Oh, does the RTX cut the claps? That makes sense. Going on, Eeper. I think this is good enough to keep. It is turn. It's a little land heavy, but it has all of our colors. It is turn 2 removal, turn 3 removal. Colorful and fun is a great way to describe our deck. Trial of Ambition, not so great into a bunch of Burning Emissaries. So we have the official Stranger Things crossover with the Secret Lair cards being spoiled today. But Yarok was the original unofficial Stranger Things crossover. Goodbye, Scoos. In general, I will try to never predict what Wizards of the Coast is going to do with their ban lists or suspend lists because they're not consistent. And if they're not consistent, you can't really accurately make predictions. Thanks for the follow, Blue Legend. Hope you're enjoying Magic. One of the things that's going to be interesting for me to see from a metagame perspective is that if you look back at Meta Monday this past week and the week before, you will see that, what's the word that I'm searching for? You will see that white aggro and Thalia-based aggro decks were actually some of the highest win rate decks on the ladder. And if Jeskai popularity goes down a bit with this banning, I think there's a good chance we see the win rates of those Thalia decks go down as well as things like red-black mid-range with Kroxa and Food get a little bit more popular that can beat up the Thalia decks. I think there's a good chance that the strength of those Thalia decks was largely predicated upon the fact that Jeskai was a common opponent that they got to beat up. Yeah, that was, we've played this archetype in the past, and that's basically how it's always been, admin. You basically punt the control matchups. Our lineups, thanks for the brand new Prime. There's a ton of people you can send that to every month on Twitch. Thanks for sending it this way. Basic Swamp Gingerbrute. Okay, opponent, I'm listening. I'm paying attention now. Thanks for the 2/3 of the year, Fedmart. Are they playing Gingerbrute in their food deck? It's an interesting decision. Thanks for the follow, Fox Decano. Yeah, it is technically a food. Looks like there may be a little bit more aggressive food deck. It's interesting to see Dreadhorde Butcher alongside Trail of Crumbs. Trail of Crumbs isn't a particularly aggressive card, while both Butcher and Gingerbrute are. Hey, thanks for the Prime Blue Vader. Welcome back. I feel about Boros Modular. We played a tempered steel variation of that that seemed somewhat reasonable at one point. Yeah, we've definitely run pretty poorly in terms of drawing spells so far today. There's been a lot of games like this in the last 3 hours. It's not been a good scene. The shuffler's out to get us, fam. Probably on the 0 outer at this point. I guess I could draw removal spells every turn for the rest of the game, like maybe, I guess this is technically 2 blockers. Sythis, if Sythis survives, that's actually a card that could get us back in here. Yikes. Oh god, every time they sacrifice a creature, the scroll gets bigger? Wait, did they miss lethal? They missed lethal, right? They could have just sacrificed things and pinged my face to make the squirrel kill me? Yeah, because if they sacked the cat, this would be a 3rd point of damage, this would be a 5/5. Yeah, I missed on board lethal. Good shit. It's a shame. Shame we couldn't punish that. Build your own Arcbound Ravager. That's a good way to put it. Probably want this for the grind capability. Deputy of Detention seems like it's going to die too frequently. Spellbinder seems pretty rancid against their deal ones. Rest of this seems fine. My plan is going to be to draw some spells this match. It's a bold strategy, but I think someone's got to try it eventually. All of our colors, castable spells. You know, sit this into this, draw a card, gain a life. Sounds nice. Yeah, maybe, Logan. I was actually talking about that. The fact that they addressed memory lapse but didn't address Aldrin's Epiphany makes me think maybe we'll do Historic next month. Yeah, I think it's just Third Weaver here. Just infinite mana. I think what I'll probably do, because I don't know that I have too strong of opinions, because honestly, the new standard set's probably not going to shake standard that much with Epiphany staying legal. Maybe we'll put it as a question on, I'll send out the sub poll like October 30th or 31st. Oh, man. Ugh. Maybe we'll send out the sub poll a little bit early, and I'll let subs vote on the format for the open in October. I won't open registrations until we know what the format is. And we'll decide on a format at the end of the month. It's going to be November 14th. That's 1 month from today. You think it's something you'd like to play and you'd like to save it on your calendar? November 14th. Not even anything useful I can do with this. I just want one in play for when I play the Yorion out next turn. That's fucking hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. That's gasoline. What's funny is, I think we can actually win this game now that our opponent played that card. I don't think this game was winnable until they played the card that killed all of their food for us. I'm pretty sure they lose now. So, like, that was sweet, but, like, there's a reason why you don't see people play cards like that, chat. I think we were 0% to win this game if my opponent, like, ground us out with the Trail of Crumbs. But because they've instead elected to do cute things, we have a real shot. Yeah, opponent definitely made the content play. Definitely feel like the bad guy here after the old Rampage of the Clans came down. The Circus of Value. Screw us, we're bad. Big mood. With all those tokens in play, I definitely want Deputy in my deck. Deputy wants to be able to exile all of their Rampage of the Clan tokens. Honestly, Trial of Ambition seems pretty crap here. They have a lot of bad creatures they don't mind sacrificing. Blowy! Thanks for the third of a year. Welcome back. They're boarding it out? Yeah, hopefully. I don't know. I feel like you don't put that card in your deck to not have it in your deck. Dan doesn't have removal spells in it. Kinda. This is like a removal spell if we squint, right? And this like ramps into it, so maybe this is fine. It's a good pickup. What's going on, Reggie? Welcome back. Thanks for the half a year. Yeah, Oven decks were competing with Jeskai for best thing in the format before, before the bans, and they're definitely still going to be up there now. I should have started on this. I think a lot of the decks I would expect to be uptick in popularity if Jeskai goes down are going to tend to be bad against the food deck. You do, Master J. Thanks for the entire year. Welcome back. I mean, did Blue-Red Phoenix have a bad Jeskai matchup? I was under the impression that Blue-Red Phoenix was okay against Jeskai and was bad against, like, aggro decks. It doesn't race super consistently. Was Phoenix bad into Jeskai? Can anybody play the deck in chat? I haven't played a ton of Phoenix. Like, I wasn't under the impression that, like, Jeskai was keeping Phoenix down. Only 2 cards in here, not close to escaping. Definitely sticking the Trail of Crumbs in a hole next turn. Nip that one in the bud. I guess I could have Glasspooled the Knight. Maybe that was better. Missing second blue here, so we'll grab Island. The problem with Rampage Master is like what you saw happen in that second game to our opponent, where like your payoff for making Rampage of the Clans work is just super low. Yeah, I'm wearing one of Clausen's apparel designs. They're Wind Grace Forever. A lot of great ones there. A lot of fantastic artwork that they have on their products as well. We're gonna fight the Dreadhorde Butcher here. If you haven't seen their stuff before, they do all magic themed. A lot of punny type shirts. We have another Knight of Autumn in hand here to deal with this Fall of Trail of Crumbs. Would killing Geese make sense there? Why would killing Geese make sense? Can you explain? If you don't like puns, well then you live a pathetic, sad life, but, you know, I won't judge. I mean, we'd already killed 2 trails at that point in time, Lord, so prioritizing killing a goose that makes future trails slightly better seems silly as opposed to killing the creature that could potentially kill us. The Acronin War. Yikes. Just gain some life here. Killing their food doesn't really do anything, so they just sacrifice it. Keep this one. Fight the squirrel. Welcome to the circus of value. There's a loot butcher. There's not. It gives them a little bit of control over the board. I don't know. I don't think either of their creatures were very high priority. And like, as you can see, we're just gonna start looping stuff and kill all of them effectively. So it's kind of like a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other type situation. I'm gonna pick up Glasspool Mimic. I'm gonna Glasspool Mimic, copy Yorion, keep this. Glasspool Mimic goes to the bin. Blink all of these. These come into play at end of turn. I get to pick up Glasspool Mimic. I get to gain some life. This comes into play and fights this. This other Yorion trigger happens. I get to blink all of these again. This deck really slaps when it gets going. Also, like, I would like to point out that, like, our opponents had a lot of gas this game, right? Like, they've only drawn 4 lands, and they've been able to cast every spell they've drawn. We've just solidly outvalued them. I think our deck is super reasonable against creature decks, and it's a pretty medium pile of trash against control decks. Against decks that play to the board where our removal and value engines are good, we're very competitive. In the control matchup, you just have a bunch of cards that, like, basically don't have text boxes, like Othakaya, Binding, the Sacrifice effects. None of these cards just do anything in the control matchups, so you just kind of flop around without accomplishing a lot. Your control opponents accrue too much virtual card advantage against you. Get that. Hit Mythic playing bad decks halfway into the season. Not bad. Grind them into the dirt. Let's play one or two more with this, then we'll move along to a third deck. Did you get wild cards for Brainstorm today? You did. You did get your wild cards for your Brainstorms you haven't been able to play for the last 3 months. So, if you squint, this Binding of the Old Gods is a white source. But you have to squint, okay? What's the next deck? I think we're gonna play some Jeskai Vodrok turns. Because that deck's both hilarious and fun. It gets okay into the various creature decks as a sweet combo finish. Standard's okay. The games of Standard that don't involve Aldrin's Epiphany, I'm really enjoying, and the games of Standard that involve Aldrin's Epiphany are pretty god-awful. This is great. So we get to kill this, and then this gets us a land, and then we get to Incarnation it into a 5-drop next turn, which is excellent. See if they take Incarnation here or not. So, again, chat, I really hate the response like Zauzi just gave in chat, which is, I describe a deck I don't enjoy playing against, and chat's like, but Jeff, deck XYZ beats that deck. My enjoyment isn't about being able to win matches of Magic with one deck against one thing. The purpose of, and the focus of my content on this channel especially, is playing lots of different things, and Epiphany really puts a stranglehold on what is competitively viable in Standard. It's not simply about, can I brew one thing and have this one thing be competitive? Gosh, if we hit an untapped land, they're super dead. Come on, hit me, dealer. We might be okay here still. We're We're gonna gain 1. They're gonna have to sacrifice 2 things. We get to draw a card, so we set this up for next turn. That's the second person to make that mistake today. All right, and I should just attack for 3 here, right? Because if they attack for 2 on the backswing, I'm still +1. Oh my God, chat! I forgot we had Enigmatic Incarnation. Holy shit, they're so dead. I totes forgot. All right, it's garbage time. We don't have to go home, but you can't play here. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Renegade Rallier is straight gasoline. Even if they hadn't misclicked there, we were gonna be solidly ahead there. Yeah, the misclick really did not matter. They were going in a trash can regardless. Get in the dumpster. All right. Darth Maul Cop, thanks for the follow if you're still here. Good afternoon. Oh, Twitch usernames. This is fine. I'd really like to draw a Triome on 1, but we got 3 removal spells. Our mana's a Scotch Awkward, which is just like a byproduct of playing a 4-color deck on occasion, but we're gonna have 3 castable spells here. They're all removal, so we should be able to stem the bleeding for a little bit. That's an excellent draw. Do I want to commit to what I'm getting with Fabled Passage on 1 or not? I think so. I think we're just getting a white source. Would I rather guarantee play this or guarantee play this? I think it's just Passage for Plains here. Yeah, Passage for Plains here means I can go... Well, I guess if I get green, I can go Watery Grave into Trial. Maybe that's the better play. Yeah, Sythis does draw cards. All right, I'm in for drawing cards. Sweet, that's a reward for fetching green as well. I have 3 castable spells here still. Any 4th land lets us cast this. For the follow SU. Game. Maybe they were missing their 3rd land drop. Obviously, fetching the forest was the correct play. Yeah. They could have just been a little frustrated from their misclick in the first game too. Wanted to move on. Remember, chat, if at any point you're not having fun while playing a match of Magic, it's always fine to concede. Magic is a game you should play for fun. Comments like that just really aren't welcome in my chat. You are always welcome to constructively critique my play and my opponent's play, but just like calling them names is just not something that's allowed here. There's nothing wrong with just like being, nah, I'm over this match of Magic, I'm just gonna move on to the next one. In fact, I quite frequently do that on stream. Magic's a game you should play for fun, and if you're not having fun, move on to the next match. There's nothing wrong with it. Chad, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. The Magic Arena ladder isn't worth anything. You should only play for enjoyment. This little number next to your name doesn't get you anything. But, Jeff, there's a qualifier tournament that could qualify you for another thing that qualifies you. Yeah, that's technically correct, but even that isn't really worth much. actually a pretty good draw. So we get to harvest plus Omen this turn. And then next turn we can crack the Fabled Passage, rally or something back. Which is nice. The time I got to the top 10s is going on my gravestone. I'm pretty likely to find another land, right? What's your opinion on getting invites for qualifiers by going 5-1 or better in the SCG? I think that's great. I think giving players multiple ways to qualify for the qualifier weekends is excellent. Elvis, thanks for the follow. Grab our black source here. And then the question becomes, do I want to get back my Sanctum or do I want the land? I think I'm going to get back the Sanctum here because the ramp could potentially be good. Obviously, if they have a sweeper, I'm a little bit sad, but I think this is the play. Qualifier is how you stay free to play without playing drafts. Sure, you get some small amount of rewards from it. More so to my point there, chat. If at any point playing Magic Arena feels like a job for you, I promise even working a minimum wage job would buy you Magic Arena cards or other things faster than whatever grinding on Arena does, right? So like, if you're, don't min-max your fun, instead just go work a little bit extra. If Arena feels like work, just go do an actual job instead. I think I'm just Othakaiing their face here, because we can cantrip it. And getting this into play with Yorion seems reasonable. Minimum wage here is 2 USD. I mean, do you think you grind 2 USD an hour playing Magic Arena? Because I'd bet it's less than that. Maybe if you're super above average at limited, you can do better than $2 an hour. Man, they're like red-black control. We don't get this Thoughtseize, we're in a fine spot. You need to put a threat down, burn them, and draw a card. I used to only free to play until I realized I could pick up 2 to 3 extra hours at work and pay for 20 drafts. Yeah.
I am ancient and wise. Heed to my advice. Secrets manifest before you.
We just do this.
This experience still proved useful.
Really surprised. I guess that I was just saying, surprised to see this side, but they couldn't tip alt with the binding in play, huh? I guess is how that works out. And now, unfortunately, I can't Othakaya this because they could turn it into a 4/5, but we can just play second binding here. There's Thoughtseize. And they took the Enigmatic Incarnation. Smart. Did we just pick that back up? I think we just picked that back up, right? We can cast it here. And then we'll turn the binding into a 5-drop. Imagine playing your sweet red-black control deck on the ladder and then running into someone playing a bunch of enchantments. This is pretty peak matchup variance for our opponent here. Just like their deck looks really sweet, but like their answers are just like nowhere close to lining up into what our deck is doing. Yeah, it's a real bad timeline for them. Oh no, not my Yorion. How will I ever replace it, chat? It's a circus of value. So they have some expensive bomb diggities here, and I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in more of them. So I think I want these strokes and negates. I think I want one Skyclave to tutor up, but it's probably not amazing on average. This probably dies quite frequently. They knew the risks, and so do I. Trial of Ambition is probably pretty rancid. We'll just bring in Shifting Ceratops as a hasty beatdown threat. I only recently figured out what Circus of Value comes from. Yeah, I did Bioshock playthroughs somewhat recently. Last 6 months or so. You do, Marty. I can get you now. Do I play video games much outside the stream? I play Pokemon Unite outside of the stream, yeah. In fact, part of the reason I've been streaming Unite is so I have a justifiable excuse to play more of it. Unite's a relatively decent social game when playing as teams. So it's something my wife and I have been playing together, and we play. I have a 6 and 7-year-old. I have a 6 and 7-year-old that we've played with too, because they each have Android devices that it plays on. Do I do Pogo? I don't know that I'm gonna make more Pokemon Go content because the economy in Pokemon Go in terms of being able to make new competitive teams is really restrictive. So making diverse and interesting content for that game is basically impossible without spending infinite hours on it. This'll fish us up a blue, which is nice. Yes, yeah, the content's not particularly popular either because people have a hard time emulating it. Pokemon Go did announce they're adding a semi-competitive circuit for it though, so I might look into playing some of that. Work on a team for it once the formats are clear. So I do enjoy competing and stuff like that. Welcome back, Tater. Thanks for taking the time to rip that, Prime. We just getting Tolsimir? I think we're just getting Tolsimir. And well, Tolsimir will fight Valky. Hey, catch you later, Eeper. Remember, you can always catch it on YouTube after the fact. Stomp / Bone Crusher Giant feels like an incredibly fair card in formats like Historic, in all honesty. Feels pretty appropriate power level. Yeah, I figure Haley's about 2 years off of being better at Pokemon Unite than the average solo queue player. So I imagine we can do a family 5-stack somewhat soon. I'm just like Rallier, get back Sanctum Weaver. That's the play. She's about 17 months. Yeah, she was born mid-pandemic. June of last year. Yeah, so 16 months? 16 months, 17's wrong. Am I Yorioning here? I feel like I'm not, right? I think it's just like tap land go. I think I'm down to negate this. And while obviously there's been a ton of awful surrounding COVID, one of the small blessings that came along with everything related to COVID was Haley was able to spend the first year and change of her life largely at home, which was pleasant. The original plan was she'd start full-time daycare at 7 or 8 weeks. And the beginning of next month, the start of November, we'll have a full-time slot for her and she'll start going 5 days a week. Not looking forward to the price tag attached to that, but she's also old enough at this point that she really likes playing with other kids, so she gets something meaningful out of it. Yeah, it's very typical for small children here during the Before Times Wiki to start full-time daycare at 6 to 8 weeks. My wife works as a business analyst for a Fortune 50 company, and she has what's considered excellent maternity leave in the United States, and they provided 8 weeks paid. We are very fortunate to have any amount of weeks paid based on the country in which we live. Alright, our mana's a little awkward here. We take... They don't have a second white, do they? Yeah, their mana is super awkward. I think I'm taking this still. Glad we took this. They top deck the plains. Definitely trading Elite Spellbinder here if they attack. Within a week of giving birth, the woman was back. Yeah, I mean, some people can't Can't afford to not do that. Want to trade these? I think I do, because this way if I draw a black source, we can Othakaya, kill the Thalia's Lieutenant. I think it's just Skyclave Apparition. Get rid of the Lieutenant here. What job leave rights does America have in general? I don't quote me on this, but I believe the only thing that's protected by the government in the United States is you get 6 weeks unpaid leave and can have your job guaranteed back as the mother. Is it 6 weeks or is it longer than that? There's some minimum amount that they guarantee you that your job is safe, but it's unpaid. Yeah. My sister-in-law got fired when she put in for maternity leave and there was nothing she could do about it. Yep. So we'll put this under here. And then honestly, I think we just eat this, right? Eat this. And then next turn we get to go Othakaya, kill this, turn the Othakaya into something else. The rights to leave our jobs and starve whenever we want. Yeah. All right, I think we're solidly into garbage time, right? I don't know how they recover from here. We have like more Othakayas lined up here. The Othakayas. Okay. Yeah. Why aren't millennials popping up babies? Yeah, and like, when you hear what I just described there, just be aware that I'm aware of the incredible amount of privilege I have for the situation that I'm in, and the situation that I'm in makes me better off than a majority of people in the United States when it comes to maternal leave in my family. And I'm fortunate enough to have a job here that like pays me enough and I can just take some unpaid time off and it wasn't a big deal. That was, this deck's so good against these creature decks. Yes, a vast majority. I think this is just the plan. It's just like a couple pieces of top end out, plus a couple of spellbinders out. Bring in removal spell and some Knights of Autumn. Bottom the redundant Sythis. I guess, like, there could be merit to keeping this just because it does cantrip, right? Like, just like gain 1 life, draw a card doesn't seem terrible. We're on the draw. We're gonna draw a 3rd land, chat, right? Famous last words, we're gonna draw lands 3 and 4. Okay, they mulligan to 5. Gosh, our deck is so good. Man, I wanted to I wanted to highlight this deck on the daily deck channel, and maybe I still will, but I don't know that I have a full match to post. Like, all of the sweetest games we've played with this deck were just like, we had a really sweet game 1, and then our opponent just like mulliganed and conceded in game 2. I was like, well, I mean, I guess, like, it's not our deck's fault that that happened. Yeah, I think I'll probably end up posting it and just throw that in the deck tech. Yeah. It is one of the upsides of recording the deck techs after the games for the daily deck list channel. I could be like, hey, this is what's gonna happen in the games. These are things to look for. We just pretend we're playing best of one. I could, honestly, we could do that. So thoughts on this? I think this deck's super reasonable. I think it's really decent into all of the creature decks and decks that play to the board. I think you're just awful against Jeskai Control, and Jeskai Control is still going to be around, and I think if you're not okay dying to Jeskai, you can't play this. I think probably the minimum of one change I would make after playing this is I don't think the Scarab God is very good in this deck. I think the types of matchups where this card is good, you tend to already be ahead, and it's kind of expensive in terms of mana to use. And I think Harvest Hand is really good in this deck. She felt excellent every time we drew her, and the fact that your second Harvest Hand can just be cast to gain a life and draw a card feels super strong. And it's another card that's like kind of grindy, which is great. So I think I'm relatively happy with this. I don't think there's anything else that jumped out at me as like, this is something I would change. Never. Haven't been a fan of Scarab God in the 5, and Harvest Hand felt really good. It's our first time playing this archetype since this card was added to the format, and definitely feels like an easy 4-of for me. All right. Don't go anywhere yet, chat. We're doing all magic today because they freed us from memory.